This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance. I get a call from Ben Strader yesterday, and he asked me if I wanted his constructive criticism on the Do It for a Living podcast. He went on to say how much he enjoyed the podcasts and how time flew by as he was listening, and at the end of a podcast, he found himself wanting more. Well, I noticed that he hadn't given me the constructive criticism yet, and he was sort of beating around the bush, so I knew it was going to be serious. We went on to talk about what it's going to take for the performance racing industry to have explosive growth, and the conversation headed to professionalism, authenticity, and the F word. Look, the fact of the matter is that BS hype and unwarranted claims are prevalent in the industry, from services to products, and that's why authenticity is so important. Because people don't know who to trust. Being authentic is my number one priority, and it's my promise to you right now. If I stutter, it's because that's me. If I cuss, it's because that's me. I have to gain your trust, because Do It for a Living is a resource, just like a tool in your toolbox, and you need to know that what you're getting is real. Ben Strader makes the important argument that professionalism means knowing what to say and when, and that dropping the F word doesn't make you any more or less authentic. At the end of the day, be yourself, but know that every decision you make affects your circumstance and the industry as a whole. This was a one-on-one conversation that was getting very serious very fast, so I asked him if I could record it. This is that recording, a conversation between Ben and myself on professionalism in the automotive performance industry and the importance of being authentic.
Ever since I started looking at motorsports as a profession, other than at the very highest levels, Formula One, top tier NASCAR teams, that kind of stuff, motorsports has always been sort of a blue collar, knuckle dragger, sort of grease monkey kind of thing. And I've always thought that was totally unfair, especially in today's world. If you look at just how many different things you have to be skilled at to do this job, metallurgy, fluids, aerodynamics, electronics, computers, the whole thing. Like it's no longer the kind of industry where you can be a shade tree grease monkey and have a successful business. And so I feel like the motorsports industry is on the verge of explosive growth because of technology that's available to kids these days and the acceptance of that broader technology by the new generation of motorsports enthusiasts. And so I think we have an opportunity as a community of racers and motorsports enthusiasts to change that perception, to professionalize it, if you will.
It's something that we struggle with for sure, because behind the scenes, everybody talks like everybody talks.
Absolutely.
I've got my mom voice. I talk to my mom differently than I talk to my buddies in the shop. Wouldn't you agree?
I definitely.
You do that?
I'm guilty of the same. No question about it.
So then the hard part is being authentic without also, I guess, being authentic and not censoring yourself.
Well, I guess that's where I'm struggling, because I don't see the connection between being authentic and being professional. Like, I feel like I can be a highly regarded, highly skilled professional, and then I can go out and drink a couple beers at the boys and, tell some dirty jokes or whatever. But I don't feel like there's a justification for mixing the two simply because, our society has lax moral values and we've changed the way things are. And, 10 years ago, you'd never see anything on television that had anything to do with, being gay or homosexuality or whatever. And today it's so normal and everybody just does it. And so because of that, that's the same thing. And it's really just an excuse for us to be less professional. I just don't feel like that's the direction that's going to be a positive change for our industry. I think it's really more going the other way and saying, well, it's just too hard to be professional in that way, so let's just not bother, and we can use this crutch as a crutch as, nobody else is professional, so we shouldn't be either. I guess that's where I'm at with it.
Right. So it's obviously really important for us to act professionally. That's without question. The problem that I have, that I guess personally I'm struggling with, is it's who I am, to probably cuss more than I should.
Well,
you know?
so let me ask
whether
you
I'm
this.
proud of it or not.
No, but let me ask you this. So you make the comparison that, well, I have my mom voice and I have this. And so if you needed to grow your business tomorrow and you had a solid idea and a business plan and a way that you were going to do that, and you went to a banker who controlled the yes or no answer for your SBA small business loan, do you feel like you'd be any less genuine in going into his office and being a professional and not using a bunch of swear words? Or is that the fake Reid who's only doing it to please his mom?
No, to some level, it's just a matter of getting the job done. So when I'm at the bank, I act like I should be at the bank. So that's something that I'm personally struggling with, where, I promise to always be myself and authentic, because that's important to the audience and to the guest. The question I have, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just bringing it up for conversation, or rather you brought it up for conversation, but
sure, yeah.
I'm just exploring the idea. And that's, in my heart of hearts, I feel like I'm selling out.
Well, okay, so I can definitely understand that perspective, and I think that's a common social trend today, and going, let's buck the system, let's change everything into things, the ways where, and so I guess at some point you just go, where do I draw the line between who I really am? And if you're saying that to me, and we've been friends a long time, so I don't think...
Where I draw the line is with moral values.
Yeah, okay.
Cursing has nothing to do with morality.
With being a good person or a bad person.
With being a good person or a bad person, right.
So
I intend to act like myself, hold my values dear to my heart, but I cuss.
Well, look, I don't think anybody, myself included, is going to tell you, well, since you use some cuss words, then Reid, you're just a bad person. I think what it comes down to is that, it's a noble effort, it's a noble idea to go, let's change the system and let's make everybody on the world jump on the bandwagon and start thinking the way that Reid and Ben think, and that is that I can be a utmost highest level professional and swear. Well, unfortunately, that's not the social norm for us. And so I guess my point to you was that we have a much better chance of positively impacting our industry if we choose our battles and focus on the things that will improve our industry, rather than focus on being adamant and digging our heels in and going, no, you fat cat investor types are not going to come into our industry and change us just because you have all the money and you can help us grow this industry, if that means we have to change who we are and not say swear words on the radio.
Totally agree with you. The difference is we're right now in a catalyst moment where things are changing. And when we're in this growth time, we do have to, I guess, watch ourselves carefully and walk a line.
Yeah, and that's this whole conversation started just
it's difficult for me because authenticity is the cornerstone.
And I do, and trust me, we talked a lot about that in our other interviews, and that you have to really be true to yourself and who you are. And I'm sensitive to that for sure. I just think it's important for us to choose our battles, and you sort of have to, if you're running for president, you have to sort of get elected before you can really make any meaningful change. And it's going to be tough for you to go out and, run on a campaign that's radical and is completely opposite of what any of the other, let's say, two parties or whatever it were. So just by the nature of politics, politicians end up being somewhat disingenuous, right? Well, we're struggling with, how do we do that? How do we safely, securely, and sort of positively grow our entire industry? Because let's be honest, you and I both said this is not about making EFI University more money, or Kaizen Speed more money, or T1 or Injector. Anyways, it's about us all banding together and participating in something that's bigger than ourselves, with a common belief that we can improve the situation for everybody. So my argument was that if we want to attract more professional level people to our industry, then we have to be perceived as being more professional than we used to be. And I personally feel like that's one area that we could improve, even though some argue, well, if you talk like that every day, that it reflects you in every avenue. And I guess that's where I'm struggling, is if we want to be treated like professionals from those who view professionalism in a different way than we do, then we sort of have to give them the picture they want to see. And I don't know. I guess I'm not.
Well, we can act professionally without having to be someone that we're not.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying, is I don't know that the two are mutually exclusive, in that I have to totally 100% be myself, including the guy that swears every third word. At the same time, I want to be treated at the same level as an academic professor who rarely ever lets his tongue get away from him.
Right.
The reality is that what people think about you or what people perceive about you is nearly, if not more important, nearly as important, if not more important than who you actually are. And so the presentation that you give
to
people,
others.
Yes, exactly.
To
the
others.
presentation.
Perception is reality without question, right?
Yeah. And so if you don't manage your public perception, that becomes your reality, whether that's really who you are or not.
So you make your bed, you lie in it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to present this sort of Wild West cowboy image of, 6 gun on my side, then you can't complain when people treat you as if you need to be handled that way. So, when you walk into the bank with cut-off jeans and a Slayer or Metallica T-shirt and long hair, don't complain when they don't give you the same respect that they would a guy that walks into with a suit and tie, even if we both know that perception isn't a valid estimate of somebody's true character or personality. I'm saying we got to choose our battles and work on the things that we can impact more aggressively than things like language.
I'm processing.
Yeah, it's a difficult subject because I'm just like you. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I don't do those things. I've just been, since day one with my company, more than a decade now, been acutely aware of the way that I dress and the way that I speak in front of other people. And if that makes me disingenuous, that's a surprise to me, because I strive to be better today than I was yesterday, and tomorrow I'll be working on that same thing. And so I feel like for me, it's always been a keynote that, myself, my employees, my instructors, we look a certain way, we dress a certain way, we talk a certain way.
So as long as people don't focus on, okay, I'm going to fix my situation by putting this jacket on or wearing pleated pants, as long as adding value, creating value is I guess, cornerstone. And like you said, you're 100% right where those two things absolutely can walk hand in hand. Somehow in my DNA, it's a hurdle that I've got to overcome for sure.
Well, so I'll give you a real life example. So we lost a job. My company lost a job where we were providing valuable training on behalf of a manufacturer for their products to their customers. And they came to me as the owner of my company and just said, look, we appreciate what you've done, but, sort of beating around the bush, like, we're going to go a different way. And when I pushed and sort of inquired, like, well, what's wrong? What happened? What it came down to was your instructor said certain things and dressed a certain way that we didn't feel like reflected a positive image on our company. And so because of the way that you've managed your company, it's affected us, and we've just decided not to do that anymore. In fact, we enjoy your content so much that we would be glad to revisit the idea if you could find a suitable replacement for that particular member of your team. So to me, there could not have been a more clear example of why perception matters than getting fired. And, you talk about in your interviews, you talk about what's your low points and what's your high points. Well, for me, that was a really low point, because I used to think like you, and like, it shouldn't matter. We're giving good content. We have good people that are solid, their families and they have kids, and, but the reality is, if you present an image that's not palatable to others, it's going to affect your business.
So it depends on who you're trying to do business with.
Sure. So you got to ask yourself, who do you want to do business with, I guess, first, before you can have the rest of the conversation, right?
Right.
So I've always wanted to work with professionals or people that aspired to be professionals. Let's be honest. My business is about changing your life, your situation, your position. You don't come to my thing to get training and learn stuff and get smarter so you could go back and do what you always did. So people are already coming to me saying, what is your opinion of the best way for me to go forward? And that's just one, obviously, tiny little iota of what we teach. So many people think that EFI University is about, oh, well, you just make the numbers bigger and smaller and anybody could do that. But we teach things like, how to be successful in your business. Should I be charging my dyno time by the hour, or should I be charging by the job? And what's the difference? So we try to teach our students how to be successful in their follow-on careers and in their life, not just how to make an engine run better.
not just technical data, but life skills.
Yeah, because nobody does that anymore. Nobody teaches these kids after they go to...
The truth about 2015 is you're going to have all of these skills because this is a competitive world now. You're not going to get to live on how it used to be 20, 30 years ago. You're not going to thrive with one skill set on your resume.
Well, I think a great example of that is how many kids are working at fast food joints with a 4-year bachelor's degree. You know, we have this system of higher education that's sort of broken sort of philosophy of, well, you know, if you want to be competitive, you got to have a degree. Well, then they go get a degree and they're like, well, but there's no jobs. Well, then what you really need is a master's degree.
Well, no, it's just like anything. It's whatever you make of it.
I agree. I totally do. But I'm correlating that to the same thing we're talking about. Just because you come to my school and you get some training and education doesn't doesn't sort of knight you into the club and now you're a professional tuner. Having a laptop and plugging it into somebody's car and making changes in no way makes you a professional tuner. Being a professional encompasses a lot of other aspects of your life, which include the way you dress and the way you talk and the way you present yourself. Whether we like that or not, whether it rubs us the wrong way or not, the other people who you're trying to convince to give you their money so that you could provide them with a solution to their problems are going to judge your ability to do that based on more than your ability to plug into their car and change numbers.
Ben, you got a really solid point and definitely something that needs to be, you know, continuously explored. The motorsports industry is viewed not as powerfully as we'd like it to be. Mm-hmm. The knuckle dragger concept is, it's harsh. When you're in a tick box, like if you're filling out a who are you and, I don't know, an online form and they ask you what your industry is, well, our industry is not there, so maybe automotive is there, or maybe it even breaks it down into, you know, your particular task, and mechanic is something that maybe is not a badge of honor. Look, I'm wearing a hoodie right now. I've been out in the shop today underneath the car, but I don't tell people that I'm a mechanic and wear that with a badge of honor.
Yeah.
But I think we'd all like to be able to do that, and that's what you're trying to say.
It is, because sadly, I know a lot of people that are on both sides of that puzzle, you know, or that picture, I should say. I know lots of mechanics that I have such an utmost high respect for.
Incredibly talented, hardworking, yes, and educated people.
But you also, like me, know plenty of the other guys who dropped out of high school and, you know, they sort of are satisfied with where they're in life. And, you know, how many times you heard, oh, I don't need those new cars, all that newfangled stuff. I just, carburetors, you know, and those are the guys that are reflecting on our industry. And so I shudder. I'm like you. I really struggle and kind of shudder to think that people would call me a mechanic when that's difficult, because I have so many mechanics that I truly admire and respect. But the industry overall has a sort of negative connotation to, oh, you're a mechanic. Oh, well, obviously you're blue collar. And I've had personal experience with some of the high level racing teams, and they're not blue collar. This is white collar work done with a crescent wrench. And I think there's a fundamental difference there that we're not getting that message across. And until we do, you're not going to see things like graduated pay scales that reflect the skills that it takes to do this work. You're going to see people go, well, how many hours to dyno tune my car? Well, I don't know. I don't work by the hour. I work by the job. You're paying for my skills and my knowledge and my professionalism. And I think there's a battle that needs to be fought on that front. And until we do, we're never going to get our industry elevated to the level of respect that it deserves.
So what do you guys think? We're going to open this up and everybody's going to get to weigh in. What do you guys think?
I think that'll be interesting. That's very dangerous to ask that question, but I'm super interested to hear what, maybe I'm the outlier. Maybe I'm the guy that thinks that, we're
all the more powerful, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. The most dangerous thing that I could do is make up my mind and refuse to change. And so I'm interested like you. I want to know from people in the industry, and heck, if anybody's out there listening that's not in our industry, we want to know what you think about us. Are we professionals, or are we hobbyists that are just amateurs tinkering around with our cars? Because I don't think anybody that's getting paid to do this wants to be regarded as that. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. That's a dangerous question that I'm excited to hear the answers to.
You know what? Nothing powerful was ever created without, what do they say? You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Yeah.
So let's get out there and find out what people think.
Yeah, I'm excited. Keep me posted.
I got goosebumps.
That's why, this thing that you're doing, by the way, Reid, is so important because it's a commitment. I don't know if anyone realizes how much commitment you have in time to do this. And this is not a direct revenue generating source for you. But again, I always look to surround myself with people that view our industry as bigger than themselves. We talked about this in our interview, that racing is full of guys who want to be the best, smartest, biggest, fastest, whatever. And it's rare to find people that are willing to do more than just talk about improving the motorsports industry. And I want to commend you for that on these podcasts that you're doing, because it's not easy. It's a lot of work. The content production is a monster that'll just keep growing. And I commend you for giving it a shot.
Oh, I'm not giving it a shot. I'm knocking it out of the park.
I expect nothing less.
So that's it.
Okay.
This started out as a candid conversation. Thanks for Thanks for letting me record it, because it's huge. I still have goosebumps. I think I got hair standing up on the end of my arm because I recognize how dangerous, I guess, the conversation is. It'll definitely get people fired up. We'll see if we can get some valuable feedback from that.
Yeah, good and bad. If you guys are out there, don't be afraid to tell us what you're thinking, because as those of us who have the we didn't ask for it, but we have the responsibility in parts of this industry of making things happen and making things change. So it's important for us to know what's going on. So tell us what you think.
To weigh in on this conversation, get on facebook.com/doitforaliving or search Do It For A Living within Facebook for the closed Facebook group and discuss this among professionals. My Twitter handle is @Reid Lunde, ReidLunde, and our website is doitforaliving.net. Does the world think that we're just hobbyists who like to tinker with our cars, or are we professionals? I want to know what you think.